has gas in it. So Olivia Chow saying, hey, sorry about that. I'll do better next time. The best you can get is, well, it happened with some people who are working here at the city, and we fired some people, and we'll do better next time. By which she means everybody other than me, because how could it possibly be me? But I'm not sure that's going to have any negative effect on her. And it's not, people say, oh, by then, nobody will remember. Oh, believe me, the other people running against her will remind you. But I'm not sure it's going to hurt her. At this point, here's what Matt Elliott writes in his column. Who's going to be running for mayor? They're starting to line up. He writes, as anyone who remembers Tory's governing style might expect, he's still on the fence. Councillor Brad Bradford, 8th place finisher in the 2023 by-election, caused by Tory's resignation, recently invited the media to a press conference that looked a whole lot like a campaign event. Speculation abounds about other potential candidates. 2023 runner-up Anna Bilo. Hey, somebody could ask her whether or not she's going to run for mayor. The plan here is that she is going to be my guest on Party for Two coming up at 11:05. Okay, fine, I'll ask her. I'll do it. As they write in the Toronto Star, right-wing pundit Anthony Furey came in ahead of Brad Bradford, by the way. As far as I recall, I saw Anthony Furey last week at an event, and I asked him, you going to run for mayor? Well, I got the answer a lot of people give, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get it from Anna Bilo at 11:05 this morning. I haven't decided. But he didn't rule it out. And former MP and outgoing Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Mark Carney, Marco Mendicino. So if that's the lineup, a poll by Leger conducted between May 23rd and 25 found a 48% approval rating for the mayor. Now, Matt Elliott writes, not spectacular but solid. No, 48% approval rating is spectacular. She only won with 37.5% of the vote. Now, in a poll by Stanley's Data, I'm not familiar with them, so I hope I pronounced it correctly, on June the 7th, found that she would take 37% of the decided vote if she were running against Bradford, Tory, and Mendicino. But at 37%, she could very well be retained. So both polls hold a potential warning for the mayor. Leger found that just 10% of those who surveyed strongly approved of Chow's performance. Not much better. Payless found 12% would describe themselves as very satisfied. Sure, but that doesn't mean that's the only vote total that she would get. People might think I wouldn't put myself down as very satisfied with Olivia Chow, but I still like her better than the others. And all she needs is about 37%. So then, here are some of the ideas that Matt Elliott put forward. Redevelopment of Old City Hall. Chance for the mayor to present a bold vision for a Toronto museum and public space and line up philanthropic donors to pay for it. Instead of waiting for consultant studies, tell us what she wants to see, make the case for something bold. I don't know, some kind of, he may be right. Maybe that would get votes. If there were any possibility, I would vote for her. And I have to go into La La Land to say this, but if there were any possibility that I would vote for her to return as mayor, it would have to be at least a very solid Irish-clad, I will not be raising taxes during my next administration. But I think that'd probably work out as well as it did for George Bush Sr. Read my lips. No new taxes. And then he raised taxes. How about a project to revitalize and pedestrianize downtown Yonge Street? It's another idea long stuck in a frustrating limbo of bureaucratic studies and reports. It would let Chow put her stamp on Toronto's most famous but often struggled street. She could also look at fulfilling a previous campaign pledge to bring back open streets events to the downtown core, creating opportunities for pedestrians and cyclists. That, to me, Matt Elliott thinks this is a winner for her, and he may be right. I would find it frustrating. Oh, once again, we're going to see what we can do to tie up traffic in the city of Toronto. Christina, you also double as a traffic reporter. Have you ever heard that, did you know there were traffic problems in the city of Toronto?
Oh, I'm just finding this out for the first time, Jerry. I had no idea.
Well, keep that in mind next time you're doing traffic.
Perfect. Yeah. I'll definitely make sure to take note of it.
Yeah, okay. When will that be, by the way?
Or later this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the usual crowd of naysayers water down the idea, Chow could champion and fight for legal zoning of retail shops and cafes in residential areas, bringing back the iconic and beloved corner store. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind if there was a corner store just down the street. Okay, well, there is where I live now. But where I used to live, out in the leafy suburb of Etobicoke, I'm in the less leafy portion of it now, out, near the park in Etobicoke, I wouldn't have minded if there was a corner store down the street. Because one of the things about living in some of the more suburban areas like Etobicoke is, you pretty much have to get in your car to go get groceries. There's hardly any way around it. You do have the upside, of course. When you get to the grocery store, there's a place to park. So that's the upside. Here's a text message. Good God. Hosing down the city garbage bins every once in a while would improve her odds. Yeah, Nick, isn't our company responsible for that? Not that I necessarily think I need to give a break to the mayor, but isn't that us?
I think so.
The part that's still called Astral is, I think they're responsible for the garbage bins. I mean, I hate to throw our company under the bus, but I mean, truth is true.
Yeah, but they're hard workers.
Well, okay, maybe, but listen, the garbage bins could use a better cleaning from time to time. I have to say. All right, still to come on the show. This election is a long way away, but I will ask Anna Bilo at 10:05 whether or not she intends to run for mayor. There are a lot of issues around the military, both domestically and internationally, and Christian Leuprecht, professor at the Royal Military College, Queen's University, is going to join me on News Talk 1010. 10:30, News Talk 1010, time saver traffic.
Looking for some updates on the southbound side of the 400 through Major Mackenzie, where we had some earlier problems. You can update me at start 1010. The right lane had been affected. It's been a tough one on the eastbound 401 this morning, flowing past Dixie in sections all the way out through Yonge and Bayview. In the express, the left lane is out for emergency road work and no estimated time on wrapping up. No issues on the Don Valley Parkway or the Gardner. We do have some maintenance delays east 403 through Eastgate Copra. Maintenance in the right lane and off the major routes Kiel south of St. Clair. Some earlier problems have cleared. News Talk 1010 weather, day 3 of a heat warning from Environment Canada. 33 will feel like 42. And we do have a risk of a thunderstorm this afternoon as well. Right now, though, sunshine 32, feeling like 42 degrees. Traffic brought to you by Mandarin, giving you all that you want for 46 years. That's award-winning Mandarin dine-in, takeout, and delivery. They hope to serve you again soon. Time saver traffic. I'm Lisa Morales. Next update at 10:45 on News Talk 1010 Toronto.
Grandest of all the slams. What a day to have a $10 ticket at Wimbledon with Magic Millions. June 30th to July 13th on TXN with exclusive fees on TSN Plus.
The personal care workers in Villa Colombo's supportive housing are caring, skilled, and dedicated. Their hard work allows seniors to live independently in their community. But Villa Colombo is cutting workers' sick days, slashing dental benefits, and keeping wages at poverty levels. This not only hurts workers, but fractures the relationships they've formed with residents, who have already complained about the level of care from replacement staff. Both workers and seniors deserve better from Villa Colombo. This message brought to you by QP Local 5525.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
One first in Maine, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs Able Electric.
The grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/claim now and get $100 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Love is now a 3-letter word. L-O-V. Lexus of On. Enjoy an elevated luxury car buying experience with exclusive programs, transparent pricing, and modern processes that put you, the guest, in the driver's seat from start to finish. Come for the quality of our cars, stay for the quality of our service. Now that's something to LOV, Lexus of Vaughan. Near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. Luxury is closer than you think.
Part of the Zankin Auto Group.
I'm Andrew Burgell. And I'm Elon Burgell. At Burgell McGinsey, we know that accidents don't just affect the injured person, they affect their entire family. We'll listen and help you understand your rights, and we'll fight to get you the compensation you deserve. For over 50 years, Burgell McGinsey has recovered hundreds of millions of dollars for injured clients and their families. Let the Burgell McGinsey family take care of your family.
Burgell McGinsey 416-665-2000.
Callum, Sarah, I heard you had something for me. You're gonna like it.
Everyone is going to like it.
Okay, what is it?
You know how we get engagement ring prototypes from all the top designers?
Yes, but that's not new. That are finished.
But it is new. We have 8 exciting new engagement rings.
Plus 2 that are super exciting.
We call it the Top 10 Collection.
Are they elegant? Extremely elegant. Dazzling?
Delightfully dazzling.
Affordable. Amazingly affordable. 8 exciting engagement rings?
Yes, plus 2 that are super exciting.
Michael, come and take a look at the Spence Top 10.
You really want to see the Spence Top 10.
Do you know who should come and see them? Who? Everyone who is in love. It is good to be in love.
Extremely elegant, delightfully dazzling.
And amazingly affordable.
I love this place.
I love this place too. That makes 3 of us. Spence. Across from Scarborough Town Center, near Square One in Mississauga, and next to Colossus Theater in Vaughan. Saturday mornings at 9, join Frank Cohn on the Home Improvement Show. Brought to you by McKinnon Heating Cooling. Serving the GTA since 1934. Turn to the experts.
I am on both sides here.
Listening on iHeartRadio.
Feel free to open up. My daughter, who is now grown and wonderful and everything else, put me through HE double hockey stick anytime the feeling hits.
And it's great now. Like everyone used to say, cops don't want cameras. Tap the microphone button on your iHeartRadio app. Record. I am so glad we have cameras now. It's unbelievable.
And send. Then keep listening to News Talk 1010 Toronto. 100%.
Good morning, I'm Jerry Agar. There are a number of military issues, domestic and international, to take a look at and follow up on today. And joining me to do that, professor at the Royal Military College and Queen's University, Kristen Luprecht. Good morning.
Jerry, good morning.
Good to have you. Let's start with this, and it's a report from the Ottawa Citizen. The government is changing its tune on a 20% pay hike for Canadian Forces personnel. The Minister's Office and the Department of National Defence can't provide a date for when the troops will see the raise on their paychecks or say whether it will actually be 20%. What's going on with this issue?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on. One is that somebody's informed the Minister and the Prime Minister that pay per se is not a major driver of either recruitment or retention in the Canadian Armed Forces. Rather, the problem is pay in specialized trades for which it is hard to attract. Think, for instance, of IT, think about medical staff, and needing to pay a market rate for those individuals and having these very rigid civil service rules where unions are always very reticent to kind of move outside of those rules, and so preserving sort of a comprehensive compensation framework for the federal government, but where it can still make sure the Canadian Armed Forces actually attract the people and retain the people that it needs. The other is, of course, the $65 billion structural deficit. The Prime Minister was spending $9 billion more on defense, and a $6 billion tax cut has increased the structural deficit to $65 billion. Now, federal government direct spending is $140 billion, but he's, of course, reduced overall revenue. And so that means the government, this is a huge structural deficit, and even for a banker, I'll be interested to see how he actually intends to balance those books. And I think somebody's enlightened him. If he's going to give a 20% raise to the Canadian Armed Forces, every other civil servant is going to be asking for that same raise, and that's going to tear an even bigger hole in government coffers.
Well, I wondered when it happened, because for some reason they've decided on a budgeting standpoint, they being international people, that countries should pay a percentage of GDP into military and defense, and we have come up short for years under various administrations. If maybe that was a way of saying, no, we're spending more now on defense.
Yeah, but the problem is we're already arguably spending too much on defense as a service and not enough on defense as an different platforms in terms of training and the like. But it would also just send a terrible signal both to the United States and to NATO allies. On the one hand, the Prime Minister is saying we want to re-equip the organization, we want to make it more effective. He's realizing Canada has no value added when it comes to international affairs because we've let our instruments of statecraft, in particular on foreign affairs and the military, atrophy to such an extent, and then backtrack on what is arguably one of the most important procurement decisions that governments have made in recent years would send just the exact opposite signal.
All right, the Chief of Defense Staff, Jenny Carignan, is that how you say her last name?
Jenny Carignan, that's right.
Yeah, well, you said she's a courageous person. Well, that's good to hear if she's going to be Chief of the Defense Staff. Do you think Canada's well served with her in place?
I think the selection process within the Canadian Armed Forces produces generals that can hold their own to any armed force in the world, and I believe that General Carignan serves because of the competence that she brings to that organization. And let me tell you, there are people who passed up that opportunity precisely because of the very difficult equipment, staffing, and fiscal situation the organization finds itself in, and because it's, of course, a very difficult environment, both internationally and domestically, to be Chief of the Defense Staff. So it requires a considerable amount of courage to be able to serve as the Chief of an organization in the very difficult circumstances in which the Canadian Armed Forces finds itself.
Well, let's go international for the last few minutes here. A tentative truce, global right, faltered Tuesday when Israel accused Iran of launching missiles into its airspace after the ceasefire was supposed to take effect, and they vowed to retaliate. Iran's military denied firing on Israel, but explosions boomed, sirens sounded across northern Israel mid-morning. What do you see is happening there?
Well, one of the Middle East rules to live by is never start your newscast from the Middle East with a ceasefire, because the ceasefire will be over before your newscast is. I think President Trump, because the Americans are not talking directly to Iran, they're talking through interlocutors, on the one hand Oman and Qatar, on the other hand Germany, the UK, and France. There's sort of this game of broken telephones. So what I think gets back to the White House is not exactly what people meant. The other problem in the Middle East is that what people say is not actually what they mean. And so reading the tea leaves can be extremely difficult, especially when you're negotiating difficult things. And add to that, I think there's actually no consensus on how to deal with the current situation in Iran. I think the military wants to see money. They are hostage. The religious establishment, we're not quite sure. They will do whatever kind of stays there vacant, because of course they're facing an existential threat, and so it's all about regime survival. And I think the politicians are the most moderate. They want to negotiate and kind of see where they can find sort of a silver lining for the country. And what we see here, I suspect, is perhaps some veto players in the military, possibly even the religious establishment, who are saying, we're not going to go along with what the politicians have negotiated.
Yeah, did you see that Donald Trump kind of flipped out on this? He said, I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. By them, he meant Israel. But I'm really unhappy with Israel going out this morning. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard, they don't know what the bleep they're doing. So he spoke in an unpresidential way, which may not be surprising from him, but can you feel the frustration?
Yeah, I think for two reasons. I think on the one hand, Donald Trump is frustrated because he feels instrumentalized. He's realizing that both Prime Minister Netanyahu and certain individuals in the Iranian regime are pursuing personal agendas that don't align well with the broader interests of the region. And of course, that's part and parcel for the Middle East. And so I think it's a sense of, it's about ultimately President Trump's the ability to project sort of confidence for him as the kingmaker who can bring together the fighting children and get them sort of to calm down. And it shows that he actually doesn't have the control that he has, and that I think he misperceives the conflict and the Middle East, which wouldn't be surprising to anyone listening. But it's also a broader issue that President Trump actually has, contrary to what most people think, a vision and a strategy for a more stable and a more prosperous Middle East. And those personal ambitions and those leader players are clearly getting in the way of that strategy. He knows he has a timeline in terms of his presidency, and he's already running behind on that timeline. And I think that's why he's upset about, that this is really getting in the way about what he wants to do in the Middle East. Now, the question is, will we be better off with the Americans trying to shape the Middle East or not? That's up for debate.
Christian Luprecht, it's always good to have you, and there's going to be much to speak of in the next number of days and weeks, I'm sure. So thanks very much for being available, as you always are.
Always a pleasure, Jerry. Have a great day.
Christian Luprecht is a professor at the Royal Military College, Queen's University. By the way, he's in Brussels. That was a really nice connection we had there. He's currently a visiting fellow at the Wilfrid Martin Center for European Studies in Brussels as well. Coming up, Lorraine Sommerfeld, I always read her column. She writes about cars. Do you get your driver's license if your car parallel parks for you? We have a Twitter poll on that. If you want to go to X and take a look there and weigh in and give a result on that and talk about it, because I think no. But that's just me coming up. 10:45, News Talk 1010 time saver traffic.
So we're looking at some maintenance delays through Bradford on the 400 both ways near Highway 88. You're going to find the left lane is out, but we also have some issues on the South 400 in Vaughan, just past Major Mackenzie. A right lane was affected. My flow maps are showing a bit of an improvement, which leads me to believe those problems have actually cleared. East 401 construction delays through the Young and Bayview stretches in the express left lane is off limits. It's backed up almost as far back as Dixie, and then East 403 through Eastgate Cosra, the right lane was out. That was for some ongoing maintenance. News Talk 1010 weather. Well, it's going to be another really, really hot day with a heat warning in place again. The high 33 will feel like 42, and there is a risk of an afternoon thunderstorm as well. Right now, it is sunny, it is hot. 32 feels like 42. Get your car ready for road season. Drive into Mr. Loop Plus Tires for no appointment oil change or maintenance needs. Mr. Loop Plus Tires, open early, open late, open weekends. I'm Lisa Morales. Next update at 11 on News Talk 1010 Toronto. That doesn't sound good, especially with another hot summer on the way. To help get your home prepared, get a free AC checkup from an Enercare expert, a $99 value. And if it can't be fixed, you can get up to $7,000 in prepaid credit cards when you rent a new heat pump and furnace, installed as soon as